What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley, and that's the one and the only. It is Scott Savage. Scott, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah, the show has also been bringing us lots of technical difficulty. It's our favorite side tangent here.
Man, it never seems to end. Can't wait till Steve takes this over. man, I tell you, one of these
They're gonna
days.
stop updating things too.
Just if it works, why are you messing with it? Just leave it alone. I had no problems to get a PC update, and it just shut everything down. What do you do?
Yeah.
Well, before we get into that, Scott, we keep going. Let's get going on today's show where people can join us usually live at 11 a.m. Eastern, Monday to Friday, over on twitch.tv/theofficialitg, or over on YouTube at the official ITG as well. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Dude, today's show is an interesting one. Moon Studios says their next game will make or break their studio. They got a couple things to say, so do we. And is there a new Sea of Thieves game in development? It's definitely not what you think, I'll tell you that much. And then Elden Ring keeps on selling. It's selling big and it's selling more, Scott. We'll get there as well. So why don't we get into today's show? Because I want to talk about it. This is Tom Ivan over VGC. Ori developer Moon Studios says his next game could make or break the studio. The head of Moon Studios has said his next game will make or break the company. Following 2015's Ori and the Blind Forest and 2020's Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Moon's third game is an action RPG set to be published by Private Division. Posting on Twitter, Moon Studios CEO and game director Thomas said that the studio had no plans to play it safe with their upcoming game. Quote, "Our next project is going to be a make or break moment for Moon," he wrote. "Either we manage to revolutionize the ARPG genre, or we'll slowly fade away into the distance." Man, that's really, that's one way of putting it, Scott. Right?
High risk.
Yeah, but he's not done there because he's got more to say. While that should be scary, I love the challenge. Diablo, PoE, etc.
That's Path of Exile, actually. Came to me.
Ah, there you go. Path of Exile. That makes total sense. And etc. He says, "We're coming for you. May the best one win." Dude, Thomas also confirmed that the game will have a top-down camera perspective. Moon was formed in 2010 and came from Blizzard Entertainment as Thomas and an engineer as well as Gridaldi. Developing the Ori series over the last decade has been a fantastic experience for our team, and we're thrilled to now be aiming our sights even higher with a new action RPG. The pair said back in 2020 when they announced that they were working with Private Division on the game. "We attribute our success to the iterative polish process we use at Moon Studios, and we're continuing the style of development to create a new game that rises above anything we've created this far." Scott, big words coming out of Thomas. Yeah. What do you think?
Oh, real big words and a lot of challenging words too. We're coming for you at the top. These are,
oh man,
wow, big words, but big companies are able to say stuff like that. We are talking about Ori creators. Ori,
yeah.
I watched too much Stargate. Forgive me.
So it's interesting to see where they're coming from, right? So all of a sudden they go from this 2.5D perspective with Ori, with the Blind Forest, and then Will of the Wisp they continued on with, right? And everybody fell in love. They fell in love with the Ori character, the world, the art style, the direction, the gameplay mechanic itself. It had such a game-changing perspective, I think, that it really did iterate and push that whole genre a little bit further from that 2.5D perspective.
At least brought it forward. Metroidvania was set the mold, but
yep. But now you kind of, move on, like you say, right? And they're able to push that whole genre forward. Here, they're going for a top-down view. Not something I would have anticipated coming from Moon Studios. We did talk just recently, I believe, on last week's show, how they said Ori was their Mario, or their next game is their Zelda. Dude, they keep coming out with more and more. Like, they're really stepping the bar high. This could definitely make or break the studio if you get that Peter Molyneux effect where promise, and then not seeing some of those results come through.
It's a little scary, yeah. Now
right?
the statement of saying this is our Zelda versus our Mario, maybe that just merely explains the jump to top down, 3 dimensions, 2
Sure.
dimension, and then 3 dimension. Instead of, I hear those words and I grandize them. Whoa, is there anybody better than Zelda? The truth is, yes, there are. But
Fair.
I'm just very curious to see what Moon Studio is going to come up with next. They better have that really nice art style to it.
Oh man, that's what really threw me into the world of Ori, right? Was pulling in this art direction. We're always so big. We're big fans here of art direction and art, perspectives and stuff. And when they get into this Ori atmosphere, what they've created with Ori and the Blind Forest, and then moving on to Will of the Wisps, dude, it's visually stunning, round and round. And then when you change it now to this top perspective, I feel you're kind of separating some of your player base, perhaps. Not everybody likes that perspective to start with. Most times you'll see studios transition to maybe third person, first person. You just talked about not too long ago, Playground Games moving over to the world of Fable, coming off of racing, now getting tossed in the world of Fable. Dude, that's a whole other genre now that's new to them. But can they pull that off? We have, some reservations on whether or not that's going to come to light, because we've absolutely seen nothing on it since, besides seeing that splash title. But our hopes are there, and yet Moon Studios, dude, haven't let us down yet, even from the first game to the second game. So I'm all here for them, and now I'm ready to wait. When do you think we're going to see anything?
Oh, that's a good question. They mentioned it at 2020 was when this was first announced. So I would really 2024 is maybe when we'll see some more about it. I don't think we'll see much this year.
You don't think so? We're starting to roll up in the first 3 months of the new year, and Thomas is starting to kind of talk a little bit more, right? I wonder if they do have some. I'm calling it. We see something at E3.
Okay.
Jeff Keighley's showcase, Summer Game Showcase, is
G3.
That's
or Key3. There's too many different names for it.
Yeah, I kind of think we're gonna fall into that realm, and I think that's when we're gonna see a teaser of what we could be expecting out of Moon Studios' next title. Man, I've loved what they've produced so far. It's one of those things. The changing that whole perspective makes me a little nervous where they're gonna lie. Now, granted, Diablo has a massive following, but Diablo's built that up over the years, like decades, right?
Oh, it is. It's an ambitious decision, but then again, Halo began as an RTS. That's how the story goes. Marathon, the RTS.
Yeah, and now look where we are with Halo.
Look at them now. Yeah, 20 years on.
They're still going. So that's a whole other discussion too.
There's problems, but they're still going.
They are still going, which is great. But yeah, it's gonna be great to see something from Moon Studio. It's been a while. Definitely looking forward to whatever they are showcasing next in the world of action RPG. I feel like everything's an RPG now.
Yeah, well, right? I'm really hoping Splinter Cell is not. My mind immediately goes to Assassin's Creed.
Oh yeah, of course, dude.
That's one I liked better before the RPG elements.
Well, Valhalla is it's all RPG. I love it.
It's not even a stealth game anymore.
No, it's not. Mirage though, dude. Mirage is coming back. I can't wait. Let's get into that one.
I'm waiting for that one, but also, are we going to get an announcement for Assassin's Creed World War II or something? How far into the future can we go?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's go into the future of Sea of Thieves, as the new game is teased, but it's not what you think. This is Christian over at comicbook.com. A new Sea of Thieves game could be coming to the tabletops, Scott. That's where it's going to be going. This week, Steamforge posted a teaser on their social media accounts that suggested they are working on a new Sea of Thieves game. The biggest clue was the subtle use of the Sea of Thieves map in Steamforge's gear-shaped logo. The map contains several well-known Sea of Thieves locations, like the Old Faithful Isles, Kraken Watchtower, and the Crooked Masts. Dude, they're most notably known for board games such as Horizon Zero Dawn, Resident Evil, and Dark Souls.
I'm very curious. I have not played any of those, but I really want to.
It's a shout out to Brad, Northern Nerdcast. I think he's got the Horizon game. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, because I know you'll watch this. So it is one of those things. Yeah. I don't know. Sea of Thieves on the board game. I'm down to check it out. We'll see how it goes.
That's interesting. The idea of taking these video games and kind of bringing them back 100 years into board games is something that's really cool to me. But I have to say, I'm holding out hopes for Warhammer. Can we please get a Warhammer board game?
There's got to be something out there, isn't there?
That's where it began.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's already a thing. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know.
It doesn't star Henry Cavill though, and I hear that's the newest update.
Oh, that could be it. Yeah, but there you go. New Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves right now over at Rare though is a whole other ball game. They're really pushing forward, adding more and more content. Dude, they just dropped more content the other day. I was like, man, I might kind of go back again. Like it's just. I got to move on. Otherwise, you're just there for hours on end. Because every time you start a session, you're there minimum 2 hours, maybe 3, right? And you're not there for 15, 20 minutes. And sometimes it's all. So, yeah.
Not if you want to take any of that loot home.
Nope, not at all. Yeah. Oh,
if you're coming on for 15 minutes, you're getting there just to deny somebody else the loot. That's all you're doing.
You're just there to troll. Man, we got trolled lately playing Sea of Thieves. But either way, what's not trolling Scott is Elden Ring as it hits 20 million copies sold. Logan Moore of comicbook.com. After releasing roughly a year ago, publisher Bandai Namco Entertainment and developer From Software have today revealed that Elden Ring has now surpassed 20 million copies sold. Upon its arrival roughly 1 year ago exactly, Elden Ring was met with widespread acclaim from both critics and fans. Since that time, the game has continued to sell at an incredibly high rate, leading it to now being one of the best-selling action titles ever made. According to a new message on social media, From Software and Bandai Namco shared that 20 million tarnished have now experienced Elden Ring for themselves across PlayStation, Xbox, and PC platforms. Pretty cool, Scott.
Yeah. Well, first of all, congratulations on a huge number. 20 million is no number to sneeze at.
No, it certainly is not. Now, continuing on though, currently there are no such plans for DLC, or at least none that have been announced. Scott.
Yeah, that's the puzzling situation because we've reported on it before because it's come to light that there's been data code obtained. People have been looking into the game, trying to break into what's behind the scenes. Is there any DLC, any hints? And well, there was something about a fighting arena.
I was going to say
potential PvP additive and different bosses that were found to be unused.
Like a Coliseum or something, wasn't there? Right?
That's right, yeah.
So it's kind of one of those, it's there, but is it one of those things that, hey, we wanted to put this in, but we didn't have time on the game to get that added in, or we added it in but left it there because we just didn't get around to finishing it. We didn't work. Something didn't quite click with the rest of the game. It didn't align with it, and maybe they just left it in. Is that what people are finding? Like,
I think that is likely. In Dark Souls 1 and 2, in both cases, there was DLC added after the fact, but it was things that had already existed in the game prior that they were working on. In Dark Souls 1, it was a magic type that they couldn't level out with everybody else, so they just took it out. They didn't have time to balance it. So I'm hoping there's still some of these hints we've seen turn out to be legitimate.
I guess time will tell. I think a lot of people are at this point, because it's been around for so long, like a year. It's funny how quickly a year goes by, Scott.
Yeah.
Man, already Elden Ring, a year. Wow, that did not take long at all. But at this point, a lot of them are probably done playing the game, would like to be back for more. We talk about it often on the show, a game's a service or a live service experience. Elden Ring is not that in any shape or form, but you still want to be able to keep those 20 million people invested in your game, right? You still want them to kind of come in and day out to some extent, or at least pop in once in a while. Do we get a DLC similar to like Blood and Wine from back in the day? I often think about The Witcher 3 and then their expansions, because they had a ton of free content, but then they also had some paid DLC. And if you have 20 million copies sold, dude, there's an opportunity to make some more money.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, and it's a very hungry consumer base. We'll eat up anything that FromSoft pumps out, essentially. And I think Elden Ring 2 is a sure bet at this point. DLC or not. When
do you think we get Elden Ring 2, Scott?
Oh,
come on, call it right now. I'm putting you down there.
I think FromSoft takes a little longer than most companies to kind of produce their product. So I want to take the step and say 2028. That's so far away from now, though. It's really hard to. But they are working on Armored Core at the moment.
That's right.
So they kind of flip back and forth between a couple different IPs there. So I think we'll get Elden Ring 2 before we get Sekiro 2.
I think that's fair. That's probably fair to say. Now they don't typically work on sequels. Well, I guess you did get Demon Souls and then Dark Souls, or vice versa. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
Dark Souls was the first one to take on a number.
yeah. We're only resting at Bloodborne 1. People are looking for 2, and they're also looking for the PC port. From Software, I think, is well established to do whatever they want. And Bandai, I'm sure, will work with them pretty quickly. Scott. Dude, let's get
I
into...
just thought about it. Oh, no, everybody has a phone, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Bloodborne port. Come on, if you can't do PC, let's get a. That's awful idea.
Yeah, let's not do that, Scott. Let's not do that.
No.
But all I want to do is the people behind PUBG believe the extraction shooter is the next big thing. Owen over at Polygon had this to say. Tucked inside a report to investors, one sees the plans PUBG Battlegrounds publisher Krafton has made to extract itself from a battle royale market it helped create, but which seems to be plateauing even with the big four, meaning Apex Legends, Fortnite, and Call of Duty Warzone being the other three that dominate the space. PUBG Studio is working on an extraction shooter, a subgenre that looks like the way of the future, especially for the heavy hitters among first-person shooter developers. The game so far is called, quote, Project Black Budget, end quote. South Korean-based Krafton told investors last week in a three-pronged launch, PC, consoles, and mobile, Scott, there's your mobile, is on the table. We've seen these genres come up,
I'm
Scott.
looking to I'm looking to my other screen here to try. I don't think it's there anymore. Scavengers is gone. That was an excellent extraction shooter battle royale, but it didn't survive. So this has me a little worried. But then again, PUBG were the ones, as far as I understand, to create the battle royale subgenre.
Dude.
So if anybody has a chance to establish it, hopefully Krafton comes through.
It is technically already there, right? Like the cycle's there, and that's what you're doing on an alien planet, right? You're going in, you're gathering resources, and then bailing out with your team. You take a look right now, Call of Duty with DMZ. That's you, myself, and Kyle will play that one when we jump into Call of Duty. So that one's there.
Battlefield has one now too.
Yeah, Hazard Zone, right? So that's established. So they're I don't think they're not the forerunner when it comes to that. Dude, Vigor is another one. Like that's all you do with Vigor, right? You roll out with your team, you gather your resources, go back to your home base there, and then fortify it and fix it up. You're not really fixing it up for anything but cosmetics. Really, at the end of the day.
Nobody ever attacks you, do they?
No, not in Vigor. Not unless you're out actually in the world, and then that's a whole other ballgame.
Oh, then it's like Sea of Thieves.
Yes, it is, very much. So I like that genre. I like this subgenre. What PUBG can bring to the table, dude. So obviously, for me, PUBG, it is my battle royale, right? Like that's my go-to. Which is funny. I haven't been on it in a while. We've been kind of busy in other games, and right now, Freelancer has me over in Hitman World. So what can I say?
There's always something. We talked about it years ago. You're one of those like a squirrel.
Yeah.
Oh. New thing, squirrel, shiny.
Pretty much, right? And that's why I as much as I love the GTA style games. Yeah. It is one of those things you get into often is that you start in one direction and then you veer off in another direction. But for PUBG, Scott, in an extraction mode, like we have often too, Escape from Tarkov comes up, which will never probably ever make it to console, which kind of breaks my heart because I'd love to play that one. But on PC, I'm just afraid. Like I'm terrified to buy that game and just get destroyed where I just don't want to play it anymore. So
I hear it's really good for that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely.
But you come crawling back. It's like Elden Ring that way.
Are they? So now the PUBG Corp is looking to the future, or Krafton, I guess, looking at the future for this extraction mode. Dude, it's already been done like so many other times. Can they do something to innovate differently that the other ones haven't already? Like the Division has a dark zone. You go in, gather resources, you get rare weapons, and then it needs to be decontaminated that you can then bring. It's not like they're inventing something new.
No, I think really if they're going to innovate, it's going to have to be something that you do between the games. Like what you say, is there a point to bringing stuff back? Do I put it in my house in Vigor? What does that mean for me? Well, if Krafton can come up with something creative on that front, I think there's definitely room for another one in the space.
Okay, and
They
then
have to name it something incredibly awful, though, because Player Unknown's Battlegrounds.
it's,
What even was that?
there's a reason why I got shortened to PUBG. But
Well, then Callisto had a rather let down name.
yeah. Technically, I guess. Now, I also think too, coming down the pipeline, supposedly this year, Scott, is the Last of Us factions. Which
There's another one that's set to enter the room.
exactly, like there's so many already. Are you just a little bit too late? It's not like you're getting in here and leading the charge. When they launched PUBG, that was brand new. No one had ever experienced a battle royale similar to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's been other game modes that have been relatively close, but to toss 100 people in an arena and say last man standing wins, that's kind of how the game works, right? So you're the last person, you win, chicken dinner, congrats. Now we've seen the rise of Apex, Call of Duty, and all these other ones, and now they're getting into, I almost feel like PUBG or Crafton is looking to try and play catch up with this extraction mode. The minute I say extraction, though, I go to Rainbow Six Extraction. Sorry, dude.
There's another one that kind of came and gone, didn't it?
Yeah, it sure did. Absolutely did.
I was going to say it's still on my Xbox, but through the use of cloud service, it is no longer on my Xbox.
It's a little bit different that way, Scott. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So time will tell, but time will tell too with Call of Duty 2024 might be coming to past generation consoles. That's an interesting take. Tom Henderson over Insider
Switch
Gaming.
confirmed.
Well, so here we go. Documents provided to Insider Gaming from Activision data breach from December 4th of 2022 suggest that Call of Duty 2024, codenamed Cerberus, could be coming to past generation consoles. Scott, here's the hook. With Nintendo recently signing a 10-year deal with Microsoft to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo platforms, maybe Call of Duty needs a past generation console version moving forward. Whatever the case may be, we'll continue to keep us updated on whatever this project turns out to be. Are they bringing older Call of Duty games, Scott, to Nintendo Land? That's where I went.
I thought it was supposed to be new releases, though. I haven't read the fine points of this deal, but I think it was to keep them modern. But that begs the question: how do you do that? Do you have to cloud port this? This is actually something we talked about in the Discord with Brad.
Yep.
How do you manage that running? First of all, running on a Switch, that's a tall task. And then to cloud service it as well, that's still not easy.
No, not at all. And then with Nintendo's infrastructure, it kind of makes you worried right there too. So just their whole online service isn't really where it needs to be when you compare it to Xbox and PlayStation. The Switch isn't there right now when you compare it to Xbox One and PlayStation 4. So like, how do you get these newer generations of Call of Duty on that platform? To me, I'm thinking you go back in time and you port those over, perhaps, is the one direction of taking that. Or
demake.
Or it kind of, in a sense, essentially, right? Which is not really what anybody wants. You want to get at least in my eyes, you want to move forward and have when Call of Duty launches the next game, you're there day one on Nintendo as well. How do you do that? There's two ways of doing this, Scott. Cloud service, right? Or we get a new Switch that's comparable to today's standards for every other console. However, I don't think Nintendo's going to do that. Nintendo's not going to bring us a brand new Switch that's going to have the same horsepower in it that the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S have. It's just not going to happen, right?
I don't think so.
No, I think
not until they're pressured to really do it. But this might be the kind of decisions here with Call of Duty with these other developers that spurs Nintendo. They have to make a change now.
Man, that would be nice. Scott, there's always lots to talk about here on the show, but we do have a couple games out today. What do we have?
We have Blood Bowl 3, and that's on PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, XS, the Nintendo Switch, and PC. Company of Heroes, it comes out on PC. And Grim Guardians Demon Purge is on PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, XS, Switch, and PC.
It's not bad at all, my friend. There's a couple games there. Everybody check out Blood Bowl. I actually played the original back.
I really want to play that one.
There you go. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. This has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. You can always join us live, normally at 11 a.m. over on Twitch and YouTube. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Until tomorrow, everybody, I'm Drew. That's Scott. We'll see you inside the game.